Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has opened up a very special new exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum, and it is one that she has curated herself. And this is such a cool idea from a museum. I can't even begin to tell you, and I'm so excited to share with you a bit more about her choices at this recent exhibition. But for those of you guys who haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany. We would absolutely love to have you back. And we're trying something a bit different. So, no crime report today. We're just kind of including it, doing a little bit of that here as a whole little shorter video. I usually do videos that are between like oftentimes about 20 to 30 minutes in length, but we're trying something a little bit different today. So, you will have to let me know what you think. So, this is really cool, but I love the idea of the Victorian Albert storefront. In fact, I am a member. I could go to the Cartier exhibition a lot, but what's super cool about it is that it offers the public an opportunity to see more what's in the storehouses of a museum. So when it comes to walking around any museum like the British Museum, the Smithsonian here in the United States, a lot of pieces that are in storerooms that you don't actually see. And there could be a variety of reasons for that. Something is too get delicate, maybe it doesn't fit with the current exhibitions they have, or they have multiple examples of the same thing. Although I will say, I watched some sort of show way back in the day and it was sort of interesting. And I wish I remembered any of it, but I feel like it's like Museum at Night or something. Sometimes what the artifacts, especially ancient artifacts, are actually quite sexually explicit. So they can't actually display them. And so that is another sort of hindrance to some of the collections that we see. But oftentimes there's just so much of it, you just simply can't display it all. And so the idea of the storehouse is like, hey, we had this whole archive here. Let's try to open up more of it to the public so more of the public can see it. Because otherwise, some of it might never ever see the light of day and may be displayed only every couple of decades. Like, that can literally happen. And I like this idea because even the Met in New York, I've been there, there's almost so much of it. I remember being in the Egyptian section, there was just so many displays and pieces and everything, like, you could almost not even appreciate it because you're almost overloaded with artifacts. And so I feel like this way sort of allows you to sort of get a greater insight and also keeps the museum from becoming too cluttered because yes, museums can become too cluttered in my personal opinion. So, it's very, very cool. And Catherine has created a little exhibition for us. And she, I believe, toured this initially in June because it was right before Trooping the Color. And I was a bit bummed because I'm like, oh, I would have gone there and tried to see her. But here is her little display. We can see a little bit of this here. I'll share some of the video as we can. Catherine and William's social media displayed, but here we go. So it says finding artifacts to interest a future queen. It used to spending her time in palaces and castles might be considered a difficult task. This is from the Times. However, Catherine has apparently no trouble selecting historical objects for a mini display. So here is what we have. The Makers and Creators display will feature a Ming Dynasty porcelain vase, a watercolor study by Beatrix Potter, and a childhood photograph album belonging to her father, Rupert Potter. Costume worn by Diane Verde in the Royal Ballet's 1960s production of The Sleeping Beauty. A Morris and Co. furnishing screen designed by J.H. Dearly, William Morris's assistant, is included, along with a sculpture by Clements Dane of the artist's hand. So here we have the display right here. And so you can see some of that. There's the photography, the vase, the hands. We have the outfit from Sleeping Beauty, which I sort of love that touch. And we know, guys, that Charlotte loves the ballet. We also have the screen here. And it's a very cool little piece. So Catherine visited the museum's new storehouse in June and worked with a team to bring the objects together for public viewing. This three-story attraction in Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park is designed to create greater public access to the Victoria and Albert archives, which are usually kept out of sight. Visitors can also request items to view, which is actually really cool. Like if you're a historian, you can kind of sort of do that if you're working on a paper or something. You can go to a particular museum like this and probably be able to easily request an item, although you might have to have, let's say, your professor sign off on something, the university, like various things. But here is an opportunity to give the public greater access. Now, of course, there are risks to that, but I do love the idea. And so during her visit, the princess spoke to Tim Reeve, deputy director at the Victorian Albert, saying, "What a fantastic idea. What an opportunity for everyone to see these historic pieces in first person." She added, "It's so eclectic and all parts of the process of displaying and curating." So there they have the costume there that they're pulling out as well for people to view. And in a written message that will be displayed upon her selections, she says, "Objects can tell a story. A collection of objects can create a narrative, both about our past and as inspiration for the future. This display creates our past makers and creators and illustrates how much historic objects can influence fashion, design, film, art, and creativity today. Individual unique objects can come together to create a collective whole that helps us to explore our social and cultural experiences and the role we play in the wider tapestry of life." So Catherine was a art history graduate and a keen photographer, and creativity has been a recurring theme of the princess's work, it says. So Catherine's collection is one of the 100 mini displays there. And the storehouse, get this guy, keeps more than 500,000 works. That's like absolutely insane. So I just love this opportunity by Catherine to put her own mark, not only on the patronage itself as a representative of Victorian Albert Museum, but also just as a personal note. I would love to know why she chose those particular items. I can see in particular the ballet outfit being chosen for Princess Charlotte, sort of representing that. And maybe that Princess Charlotte is really into ballet. We know she's been to ballet performances. So that's sort of sweet. I love the Beatrix Potter. So I can imagine, like, envision that in the Wales' home when the kids were in the nursery, one of those nurseries, I would not be surprised in the slightest to find out that there was a Beatrix Potter theme in one of the nurseries. And it's something Catherine has continued into her work at the Victoria and Albert Museum. And we also have the vase from the Ming Dynasty, which I find to be an interesting inclusion, and I would love to know what her inspiration was behind that. But it is really cool to bring in different cultural items. We also have the screen. What does that mean in particular for Catherine? How does it represent her family and her interests? Or maybe she just thought it was super cool. But it would be so fascinating to know more about what her sort of personal influences are when it comes to art. And we do actually have a bit more insight about the screen. So take a listen to this little bit of Catherine and the curator talking about the screen that is now part of her exhibition.
I love the choice of colours, using the foliage and everything like that, and the inspiration from nature.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that reaction.
Is it silk?
Late industrial. It is silk. It is silk. Yeah, yeah.
And I love this sort of personal reflection that she can add onto it and encourage people to explore the storehouse, because having her put her personal touches on an exhibition can encourage people who wouldn't normally go to this to maybe explore and see the opportunities there. I would like to actually go to the storehouse myself at some point, not just because of Catherine, but just because I love this idea of making all these artifacts more readily available to the public. Because sometimes what can happen with museums is that things are kept so hidden and secret that you just never see them. And we'd probably be surprised at the comparison between how many are on display and how many are actually in the archives that only see the light of day every once in a while. Because it's only when there's, let's say, a ballet exhibition. I just keep thinking ballet. Personally, I like ballet, and it's like the most readily available example. Is a exhibition on ballet, yes, you would see that ballet outfit, probably part of it, but they probably have more, so maybe even not. But that's maybe the only time you would see it, or if it particularly reflected an exhibition. Not, it's just in the archive. Nobody sees it, nobody really touches it except for the people who work for the museum. And so there is it's sort of an amazing way to allow the public to have a greater, let's say, even more personalized impact on the items themselves and the way that they can touch and maybe feel some of it, maybe not all of it. Maybe they bring it out and you just stand there and you look at it. Then I can understand why you wouldn't want a Dynasty vase to be destroyed by a patron or something like that. But if you're able to inspect it in person, again, you get that personal connection with the item, which may influence your interest not only in the museum, but in the greater history that the piece represents. And I am a very passionate advocate for people getting interested in history. And sometimes you need that more tangible interaction to develop that interest. And so I'm so excited to see where this whole thing goes. I love that Catherine did an exhibition. Hopefully we see more. And I'm just very, very excited that she shared a little bit of this with us. We don't know what, let's say, everything represents, why she chose everything, but I think it's very, very cool at the same time. So guys, let me know what your comments are down below. Let me know what you think of this new, a bit shorter format. We will not get away from the long form either, but I just, well, we'll try something today. So anyways, guys, thank you so much, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Bye.